My husband was acting strange, so I followed him one night. He went to a restaurant, ordered 2 drinks, and waited. Minutes later, a woman showed up and hugged him. I walked up to their table, sat down, and said, "So, who wants to explain first?" I'm a 42-year-old woman from Raleigh, North Carolina. My husband, Mark, is 45. We've been married for 18 years, together for 21. We have 2 kids. Our daughter is 17, our son is 14. We met in college at UNC Chapel Hill. I was studying education, and he was in business. We got married right after graduation. Mark has always been a good husband. He's attentive, a great father, and we've had our share of ups and downs, but nothing out of the ordinary. He works as a regional sales manager for a medical supply company, which means he travels a bit, but nothing too excessive. About 6 months ago, I started noticing subtle changes. He became more distant, less affectionate. He started working late more often, saying he had to meet clients or attend networking events. He was more protective of his phone, always keeping it face down, and he changed his passcode. I tried to dismiss these thoughts, attributing them to stress or midlife crisis. But deep down, I knew something was off. Reddit one Thursday evening, Mark said he had a late meeting with a client at a restaurant downtown. He mentioned it casually, but something in his tone felt rehearsed. I decided I couldn't ignore my instincts any longer. I waited about 30 minutes after he left, then got in my car and drove to the restaurant he mentioned. I parked across the street, in a spot where I could see the entrance clearly. After about 15 minutes, I saw him arrive. He walked in alone, which struck me as odd. If he had a meeting, wouldn't he arrive with or after the client? I waited, heart pounding. 10 minutes later, a woman walked in. She was in her early 30s, attractive, dressed in a way that suggested this was more than a business meeting. She spotted Mark, smiled, and hugged him. Not a friendly hug, a lingering, intimate embrace. How to write a book now. They sat down, and I could see Mark order 2 drinks. They clinked glasses, laughing and leaning in close. I couldn't sit there any longer. I walked into the restaurant, my legs trembling. As I approached their table, Mark's face turned pale. The woman looked confused. I pulled out a chair, sat down, and said, "So, who wants to explain first?" Mark stammered, "Sarah, what are you doing here?" I looked at the woman. "And you are?" She replied, "I'm Jessica. We work together." I turned back to Mark. "Work together? Is that what you call this?" He tried to say it was a business meeting, but the evidence was clear. The intimacy, the secrecy, it all pointed to something more. I stood up, said, "Enjoy your evening," and walked out. When I left the restaurant that night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't break anything. I just drove. I ended up at a gas station 15 miles away, sitting in the parking lot, staring at the steering wheel like it could tell me what to do next. He didn't try to follow me. That said everything. The next morning, Mark was already gone when I woke up. No note. No call. Just his side of the bed cold. I made coffee like a robot, then sat at the kitchen table trying to figure out what the hell just happened to my life. Around noon, he texted, "Can we talk tonight?" No apology. No explanation. Just those 5 words. I didn't respond. I needed to know more. I needed to know if this was some fling or something deeper. I didn't want to become the type of woman who checked her husband's phone behind his back. But here I was, thinking about how to get his passcode. Our daughter, Ava, came home from school and immediately sensed something was off. She asked where Dad was. I lied. Late meeting. It felt like poison in my mouth. That night, he came home around 9 p.m. I was sitting on the couch, arms crossed, waiting. He looked like he aged 10 years in a day. He sat across from me but didn't say anything right away. Then he let it spill. He said he didn't plan it. Said it started innocent, that they were just friends, talking during work trips. Then one night, after a few drinks, things went too far. He admitted he'd been seeing her for about 4 months. I asked if he loved her. He didn't answer. I asked if he slept with her. He said yes. That broke something in me I didn't know could be broken. I told him to leave. He begged. Said he'd end it, that he didn't want to lose our family. I told him that was already happening. He moved into a hotel. That weekend, I finally found the courage to go through our phone bill. I saw her number. Hundreds of texts. Calls late at night, during work hours, even some while we were on vacation in Myrtle Beach last month. What kind of man does that? But here's the twist. 3 days later, Jessica showed up at my house. Yep. She came to my house. In broad daylight. I opened the door and there she was, wearing a smug little smile, holding a coffee in her hand like we were about to have a casual chat. I didn't invite her in. She didn't ask. She said, You deserve to know the truth. Mark told me he was leaving you. That he was unhappy. That you were cold. That you barely even looked at him anymore. I swear I saw red. I said, he's a liar and you're an idiot if you believed him. I started to shut the door but she stepped forward, just enough to stop it. I'm pregnant, she said. I froze. I'm keeping it, she added, like that made it better. I slammed the door in her face so hard the glass rattled. Then I slid down to the floor and sat there in the hallway, shaking. 1,000 thoughts ran through my mind. My husband had an affair, got the woman pregnant, and she thought I needed to hear it from her? I didn't tell the kids. I couldn't. Not yet. When Mark called that night, I didn't mention her visit. I didn't have the energy. I just told him we'd talk when I was ready. But deep down, I was boiling. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a fire I was about to walk through barefoot. And I wasn't sure if I'd come out whole on the other side. 2 days passed after Jessica came to my door. I didn't say a word to Mark. I needed time to think, to breathe. But something didn't sit right. The way she showed up so confidently. The way she said she was pregnant, no hesitation, like she had rehearsed it. That night, I did something I never thought I'd do. I called my friend Leah, who works at a private clinic in Durham. She owed me a favor. I gave her Jessica's name, pretending it was about a referral for someone I knew. Leah checked. Nothing. No appointments. No visits. No sign of her anywhere in their system or their shared databases in Wake County. So, if Jessica was pregnant, she either went out of state, or, what I was starting to believe, she was lying. I texted Mark, we need to talk. Come tomorrow. 6 p.m. He showed up like a dog who had been kicked too many times. Hair messy, eyes sunken. He sat at the table like a child waiting for punishment. I didn't yell. I just asked, did she tell you she's pregnant? His face twitched. Yeah, yesterday. She told me 3 days ago. So why'd you wait? He looked stunned. I didn't think you'd want to know. Wrong answer. I told him what I found out. That there's no record of her anywhere in the system. That she might be making it up. That's when Mark's face changed. He leaned back and said something I didn't expect. She told me the baby might not be mine. It felt like someone ripped the floor up from under me. What do you mean might not be yours? I asked, my voice shaking. She said she's been seeing someone else too. Another guy from our company. One of the regional VPs. So now it wasn't just infidelity. It was a full-blown soap opera. My husband had cheated with a coworker who was also sleeping with his boss, who might be the father of her maybe fake baby. Mark said she started acting strange after he ended things. He said he tried to break it off a week before I caught them, and she lost it. Started threatening to tell me everything. Started following him to his car, showing up uninvited. He didn't tell me because he was scared it would blow up worse. No sympathy for me. He made his bed. But here's where things got even messier. That night, I got a call from an unknown number. I didn't answer. They left a voicemail. It was Jessica. I know you think I'm lying. But you don't know everything. Ask Mark what happened in Nashville. I played the message 3 times. Nashville? I went online and checked Mark's travel log. Sure enough, he was in Nashville 6 weeks ago for a sales conference. I asked him about it the next morning. He looked like he wanted to vomit. He said Jessica showed up at his hotel. She wasn't even supposed to be there. She flew out on her own, booked a room 2 doors down from his. That night, after drinks, she told him she was in love with him. Said she wanted to leave her job, move in with him, raise a family. He laughed it off, told her it was a mistake. That's when she fell. He said she claimed she slipped in the shower. The hotel filed an incident report. She said she hit her head. But Mark swore it was fake. She wasn't even wet when she showed up banging on his door, crying, saying he needed to take care of her. I stared at him, trying to figure out if I was married to a man being manipulated or a man digging a deeper hole. He said, she threatened to tell HR I assaulted her. There it was. The real fear. The reason he stayed quiet. Not for me. Not for our kids. But to save his career. And the worst part? I believed him. Because I knew that scared look in his eyes. I'd seen it when his dad got accused of something similar years ago. So now, not only was our marriage shattered, but we were tangled in something way darker than I could have imagined. And somehow, I was still protecting him. Things kept unraveling. After the voicemail and Mark's confession about Nashville, I realized I couldn't keep this quiet anymore. I needed backup. I needed someone to help me stay grounded. I called my sister Janice. Janice has always been the blunt one in the family, doesn't sugarcoat anything. When I told her everything, from the affair to the pregnancy claim to the blackmail threats, she didn't even blink before saying, "You need to expose her." And you need to make him choose. I wasn't sure if I was ready for that. Then something happened that forced my hand. One of Ava's friend's moms, Maria, called me and asked if everything was okay. She said Ava looked distracted in class. That she asked if she could stay over because her parents were fighting all the time. That broke me. Our daughter was hurting, and I hadn't seen it. I'd been so consumed by the lies, the betrayal, the constant pit in my stomach, I didn't see how much this was tearing apart the family. So I decided enough was enough. Mark was invited to a company gala in downtown Raleigh. One of those corporate events where everyone gets dressed up and pretends like everything's fine. He was hesitant about going, but he said he had to show up, Jessica would be there, and he didn't want her pulling anything dramatic. I told him I'd go with him. He looked shocked but agreed. That night, I wore a sleek black dress and pinned up my hair like I was going to war. I wasn't there to look pretty. I was there to end this. At the event, Jessica was there, of course. Wearing red. Looking smug. She saw me and raised an eyebrow, but didn't approach. Mark stayed close, nervous. I could tell he was sweating bullets. Halfway through the night, the VP, Brian, walked in, and Jessica beelined to him. The two of them laughed and touched a little too long, like this wasn't the first time they'd been that close. That was my moment. I walked right up to the group, Mark, Jessica, and Brian, and said loud enough for people nearby to hear, "So which one of you is the baby's father?" Because she told both of you different stories. The room went dead silent. Jessica's face drained of color. Brian froze. Mark looked like he was going to vomit. Jessica stammered, "You don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, I do," I said. "You told Mark you were pregnant. You told me 3 days earlier. Then you told Mark it might not be his. But here you are clinging to Brian like he's your baby daddy." I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stood there, calm, clear, loud enough for the gossip to spread. Brian finally spoke. "Wait, what the hell, Jessica?" Mark turned to him. "You didn't know?" Jessica burst into tears, but it felt staged. I didn't mean for this to happen. Security came over, seeing the commotion. I calmly told them there was no issue, that I was just leaving. I walked out, heels clicking against the tile, and left the storm behind. Mark came home that night 2 hours later. I was packing a small bag. "Where are you going?" he asked, looking panicked. "To Janice's. I need space. You need to deal with this fallout on your own." He looked wrecked. "She's lying about the baby. I think she wanted to trap me, and when I ended it, she panicked." I nodded. "Maybe. Doesn't change what you did. You still broke us." He tried to hug me. I stepped back. "No. Not now. Maybe not ever." I stayed with Janice for a week. She gave me tough love, late-night wine, and the space I needed. Mark kept calling, texting. He even wrote me a letter, handwritten. First time in years. He admitted he was scared of growing older, of being boring, of feeling invisible. Said he made the worst mistake of his life, trying to feel important again. Jessica ended up quitting her job. Whether she was pregnant or not, no one knows. Brian launched an HR investigation. The company tried to keep things quiet, but word got out. As for me, I went back home a week later, not for Mark, but for the kids. We sat them down and told them we were taking a break. Ava cried. Noah asked if it was because of them. That hurt the most. Mark and I started therapy. I'm not promising a happy ending. I still sleep in the guest room. I still don't trust him. But we're trying, mostly for the kids, but maybe, just maybe, for ourselves too. Sometimes, betrayal doesn't just rip a hole in your marriage, it tears through everything you thought you knew about yourself. I was loyal. I was present. I was the good wife. And none of it stopped this from happening. I don't know where we'll end up. I don't know if I can ever love him the same way again, but I know this. I will never ignore my gut again. I will never shrink myself to keep someone comfortable. And I will never, ever let someone else tell me what version of the truth I'm supposed to accept. We're separated. Not divorced. Not back together. Just in limbo. But I'm no longer in the dark. And that, at least, feels like a win.